My Gavanin, it's marvelous to see you. This is the Talking Shed talking, and today I've got for you a quick review of Ant-Man 3. Ant-Man and the Wasp in the Ant-Man in the Quantum What was its name again? So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first movie in Phase 5 of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's quickly recap Phase 4 and see what changed and what stayed the same. This recap will contain only a few highlights because the whole thing would take us too long. Black Widow! Natasha shows us what you have to do if you want to make sense of the plot of the movie. Loki, which gladly destroys the free will in the whole universe and is the introduction to Ant-Man 3. Spider-Man, the only bright point in the whole phase. Thor, the best summary of which is one of its jokes. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Its best part is the criticism it spawned. Bless you, Muller. And finally, She-Hulk, a comedy series, in which the funniest joke is saying She-Hulk, a comedy series. And to start all anew, there comes Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Is it any better? Well, let's find out. Long story short, it's pretty terrible. It isn't as infuriating as Thor or Multiverse of Madness. There are some jokes that I laughed at and some character work that I can praise, for example, relation between Scott and Cassie and Scott and Hope, but the more I think about the plot of this movie, the more I try to make sense out of it, the less sense I see. Which at least means that Marvel is consistent, and Phase 5 will be pretty similar to Phase 4. Now let's summarize the plot of the movie. We see Scott Lang and his whole family living a pretty happy life. There are some conflicts, but overall, all is well. We see that Scott's daughter, Cassie, is a pretty smart 16-year-old. She created a device that can scan the whole quantum realm. But as Janet, who spent 30 years there, learns that the device sends its signal into the quantum realm, she tries to stop it. But it's too late. Ant-Man, Ant-Woman, and daughter Ant-Pa and Ant-Ma are taken into the quantum realm. There they see a whole new world, a whole new universe with people, cities and empires. Or at least one evil empire and rebels that fight it. After an hour of the movie, Janet explains her relation to the ruler of the empire, Kang the Conqueror. He was sent to the quantum realm by somebody, where he, by chance, met Janet. She helped him to repair the core of his ship that allowed him to travel through time and space. But as it was repaired, Janet learned that Kang was using his ship to destroy whole universes. So she enlarged the core, and for some reason it created a strange anomaly that didn't allow Kang to take it back. However, Kang reclaimed some of his powers already, and in the following years he conquered the whole quantum realm. Now our heroes have to stop him. Unfortunately, Scott and Cassie are captured, and after Kang threatens to torture Cassie, Scott agrees to get into the anomaly and to reclaim the core. As he enters the anomaly, he meets 1,000 versions of himself for some reason. Hope joins him there, and they together make the variants disappear for some reason, and they take the core. Then Kang takes it back, but he keeps Cassie. Then the Conqueror gives his final speech before the departure of his army to attack other worlds. But then Cassie breaks into his transmission and calls all the free people, all rebels, and all oppressed inhabitants of the quantum realm to fight Kang. In the battle that ensues, Kang comes to fight them personally, so even though his army was almost defeated, he turns the tide of the battle. But then the ants that fell into the quantum realm together with our heroes come to help them. How, you ask? How did ants defeat the conqueror of the whole universes? Well, you see, they fell into a strange time anomaly, so for them every day was like 1,000 years, and they developed advanced technology and are able to fight Kang, and for some reason they are human size. And they defeat Kang after he is betrayed by his helper, MODOK, aka Darren from the first Ant-Man movie. In the fighting, the core is destroyed, but it will allow for one last journey for our heroes. Pretty lucky. And as everyone except Scott is already home, there appears Kang again, and he tries to stop Scott and to go through the portal himself. But Ant-Man destroys the core, traps Kang in it and presumably kills him. Then he is rescued by our heroes on Earth. And all is happy again. Or is it? The after-credits scene reveals finally who banished Kang. It was other Kangs, other versions of him, who now want to attack Earth. Now let's discuss the most apparent issues of the plot. First of all, the villain. Kang was banished by the Council of Rigs, Kangs of course, because he was an undeniable threat. But why not just kill him? Why send him into the quantum realm when you can just get rid of him forever? If the movie doesn't answer this question, the presence of the villain doesn't make sense. But let's assume for a while that there is an explanation. Now, why send Kang with everything that he needs to return and be a threat again? Why send him with a device that lets him travel through space and time, and with a suit that makes him a destroyer of universes? That's another question that you need to answer. And without an explanation, the presence of the villain, one of the most important elements of the plot in the movie, just does not make sense. But unfortunately, the problems do not end here. Let's look at the secondary villain, MODOK. Remember Darren? Yeah, me neither. But Ant-Man 3 makes sure that you'll not forget him so soon, no matter how much you would probably like to. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you MODOK, modified organism designed only for killing. Yeah, that's the face of a villain. But let's get past the appearance of this character and look more closely at his story. MODOK's sacrifice allows to defeat Kang, and all it took was to say to him, "Stop being evil, don't be a dick." That's the advice that Cassie gives him, and that changes his heart, that allows the universe to survive. Amazing, or unbelievable, or stupid, or just laughable. Saving the whole universe should not rely on just telling one person to not be a dick. MODOK cannot be taken seriously throughout this whole film, not with this face, and his redemption arc is just another sad joke. Another premise that is senseless in the movie is the fact that Janet tells nobody that there is an existential threat in the quantum realm, and that the only thing that this threat needs is PIM particles. And this is the only time that she is concerned about this. In Ant-Man 2, she doesn't care. If she told anyone about the threat that dwells in the quantum realm, nobody would have traveled through time in Endgame. This decision is vital not only to the plot of this movie, but to the whole MCU. And it makes no sense to tell no one about it. The whole plot relies on that, so it would be wise to make this story element justified. But it is not. Janet's explanation does not help. She says that she just wanted to move on, to forget about the time that she spent in the quantum realm. You don't move on from existential threats that are still out there. You tell the Avengers, the authorities, and your loved ones, and you try to make sure that nobody will send signal to the quantum realm that will help the threat to get out. Next on our list of problems is the fact that Kang, or MODOK who helps him, can somehow shrink our heroes. If only he could shrink something else, time and space traveling ship for example. But then the plot wouldn't really make sense. Oh wait, it already doesn't. Here is even more evidence. Janet learns about Kang's past only because his ship betrays the thoughts of its owner to anyone that touches it. That's even worse than the lazy plot-driving element that is the memory store from the Multiverse of Madness. Here someone had to deliberately build a ship that would betray the thoughts of its owner. How genius is that? Another thing is the fact that Kang shrinks our heroes, but he cannot control where they land. That's the reason why they can hide from him. But not really, because he always knows where they are, and it is never shown why. There are many other problems that can be discussed, but I will focus only on one more matter. The fact that the ending requires that Ants defeat Kang, but leave him alive and let him stop Scott when he's trying to get back home. Was nobody on the battlefield to see Kang? Did nobody make sure that he is dead? Was he just allowed to get back on his feet and go his way? It doesn't make sense. Again, the ending doesn't make sense because there were so many ants, so many freedom fighters in the battlefield in the city that Kang would be immediately shot down. But the plot had to happen, so I guess logic doesn't matter. Now let's move to the world building section. And I'd like to start with saying that I like to treat the ideas that are presented to me seriously. And I believe that we got the complete opposite treatment in this movie. Ant-Man 3 treats nothing seriously. There are so many phrases and statements of world-shattering quality, there are new realities explored, there are new words mentioned, there are possibilities that could change everything, but guess what? At the end of the movie, nothing changes. Nobody has any profound thoughts, nobody changes their perception, no innovation is introduced into the world. Let's quickly enlist what new realities were introduced or explored, and I'm using introduced and explored in the least meaningful way possible just because of the lack of better word. So, I don't like quantum realm as a concept. It, together with time travel, is so undefined that there are no stakes, there is nothing to define, nothing to expect, no reason to suspect that this and that is impossible. So, for example, a bunch of ants that were taken into quantum realm by accident could spend millennia there, develop a super advanced civilization, and come to help our heroes. I know it's a silly example, but that's what quantum realm... well, that's exactly what happens in the movie. And would you expect that? Would you suspect that it is possible? No, and that's the problem. You cannot expect anything, so you cannot get invested in anything. Now let's deal with the movie's attempt at explaining what the quantum realm is. This explanation is the statement that the quantum realm exists outside space and time. Well, so that helped a lot. How do you even conceptualize such a description? What does it mean to be outside space and time? As human beings, we cannot be detached from space and time. How are we to understand such a concept? You cannot throw it out there and expect us to understand what it means, because in fact, it is an utterly meaningless statement. Now, I have also a general complaint. I don't think that the writers of MCU can tell the story of infinity well. The quantum realm, the multiverse, and in this particular case, the scene when Scott meets his alternative selves. All of that is pretty limited, but by definition, it should be limitless. Marvel cannot handle the concept of infinity and its consequences. So, to give you an example, my thoughts during that scene in the movie were, if there is literally every Scott that is a possible Scott here, there must be the one that would blow himself and everything else up. It's infinity after all. Every possible version of Scott. Every means good, evil, sensible and mad, capable and incapable. But let's move on and think about the potential that the movie represents. It's another reality after all, a whole new universe. And all that was shown was just one city and some wastelands. Of course, except for the CGI curtain, but what do we get to know about this world? What was explained? What new information can we gather? Well, to be honest, if we started asking questions about this reality, it could all start making even less sense. So, let's do that! How do you drink water when you are smaller than atoms that make water? How do you breathe when you are smaller than atoms that the air consists of? And are there no limitations to how small you can get? These questions should be answered, but they are never even asked. And that means that the world building is wretchedly weak. And now finally, let's look at this movie as a part of the franchise, more as a beginning of a new phase. As it is a milestone in the world building of MCU, it should really add to the whole world. But do we move into a new direction? Is the world richer? Did we learn some substantial ideas? I dare to say that this movie adds nothing. We already knew that Kang was coming, if you had the misfortune of seeing Loki. We already knew about Quantum Realm and its capabilities. No character changed in any substantial way. There's no new power, no new threat. And there should be. With the knowledge that Kang is coming, we need to tell everybody, and I mean everybody, what kind of threat is out there. And that's the perfect opportunity. It was clearly said that there are more Kangs, and our heroes know about it. We need to go to the Quantum Realm and study Kang's technology. We need to look for the signs of him. We need to inform the Avengers, other worlds, all the authorities. But nothing like that is achieved. Nothing like that is even tried. It's the same as in the beginning, exactly the same. Janet told no one, now Scott, Hank, Hope and Cassie will join Janet in her silence. Nobody will know until the threat will be discovered again, and will be probably too late. Just wait for the next Avengers movie. And I must say that the image of the villain is not strong. I remind you, Kang was defeated by ants. Next time he appears, just get back to the Quantum Realm and get as many of these little bastards as possible. This will deal with the threat. Nah, I'm kidding. They'll never do something so consistent. Hi, the editing shirt here. How are you doing? It's been a month and, well, I decided that I'll not release the original outro. I'll just record a new one. so you will never know what I said there. Well, now, after a month, the first thing I have to say is thank you for watching. Most of you probably forgot that the movie Ant-Man 3 existed. So, again, I appreciate that you decided to watch this video. It was great fun to make it, but it was much more time-consuming than any project that I made before. So I don't think that I will release similar videos in the near future. I'll stick to something that can be released quicker. And the fact that I have a changed schedule and that the schedule is not going anywhere for at least 3 more months means that I cannot promise that I will release videos weekly, but I can promise that I will do my best to not release them monthly. So I hope that you stick around and, stay with me on this journey on YouTube. If by any chance you want to watch more commentary on Ant-Man 3, then I have a recommendation for you. It is The Little Platoon and his review. It is great fun and it is even longer, much longer than mine. This man is amazing. And, I was so foolish that I believed at one time that I will release my Ant-Man 3 review before him. Well, again, that was very, very foolish. Now, again, I thank you for listening and watching, thank you for commenting and subscribing, and I hope to see you again very soon. Quicker than in a month. Fare you well, Nova Year. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first movie in the Phase 4 So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first movie in the Phase 5.
Subscribe right now, you little hobbitses.